I'm excited to be giving the next talk in our teaching series on faith foundations. And I believe God has given me something this morning for you that can truly impact your hearts, your homes, and your lives. In our Faith Foundation series, we lay out the most amazing realities there are in this universe. And we have talked about this amazingly awesome God and amazingly affectionate God. And surprise, He's interested in you and me. He wants to relate to us. He wants to know us personally. He's interested in our small lives. And surprise, surprise, we learned, this God even makes a covenant with us. In modern language, God is saying, He's making the covenant only not on his end, but also on our hand. He's saying, I've got your back. No matter what's happening in life, I've got your back. Just rely on me. Now, you may have been wondering, as we walked through this in the past couple of months, why this is all so awesome and inspiring, and I want it. Why am I not experiencing more of this in my life? This talk this morning will give you the answer to these questions and ways how you can experience more of this life this morning. The title that was given to me was, I read it to you, What Gets in Our Way and What Shows Us the Way, the Power of Sin, the Unholy Trinity, Wisdom, Word, and Spirit. I took the liberty here to shorten it a bit, to read as this. The Unholy Trinity and how you can overcome it. There are three things that are getting in the way of us experiencing God more fully. And these three things are, we'll look at them this morning briefly, the devil, the world, and the flesh. I want to offer you this morning a mind map that you can take home and that helps you, that equips you to navigate these realities in your life and live a freer life. So, we'll also do a bit of drawing here. I hope you can all see this. The spotlight is right on it, as you can see. Thank you, you guys, you do this great. So this circle represents us, our personality, and particularly our mind. And what you notice here, we'll come back to this, the door, there are doors here, there are openings. That's how we're influenced from the outside. So let's look at these realities one by one. The first one we will address is the devil. I do not believe that the devil has horns, but I'll draw him in a way that we all know what we're talking about. And the devil is the most miserable being in the universe. Who is the devil? The devil is the supreme evil angel, enemy of God and all that is good. Let me say it again. He's the supreme evil angel and the enemy of God and all that is good. So he is the first member of the Unholy Trinity. That term, by the way, doesn't originate with me. It was given to me. I'll be using it this morning. So, first thing to say about the devil, don't fool yourself. He's a real person. He's not just the abstract principle of evil. He's real. He's a person. And with him are what we describe as demons, spirit beings, an army of fallen angels who follow the devil and who influence the world against God and against everything that's good. Let's look at the scripture, 2 Corinthians 2:11, that shows us how the devil relates to our lives and how we can overcome the devil. 2 Corinthians 2:11, Paul says, in the context, I will spare you the context, in order that Satan might not outwit us. Satan has an intention to outwit us. For, and that's the consequence Paul is making, we are not unaware of his schemes. How do we overcome the devil in our lives? Here's the answer. We are not unaware of our schemes. Whether you like that fact or not, there is an enemy out there who is opposed to you, who is opposed to God's goodness coming into your life, and he has a plan for you. He has schemes. Paul says we as Christians are not unaware of them, and we will not allow it that the devil will outwit us. Let me give you an image. Picture yourself on a brightly lit long corridor, and you stand on one end of the corridor. This corridor represents your life. On the other end of this brightly lit corridor is Jesus and his purposes for your life, his good and perfect purposes. So life is walking through life one step at a time, and we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. We walk closer to Jesus. We walk more into the purposes that Jesus has for us. Now, the corridor is brightly lit, but as we walk to the left or right, there are dark rooms. And out of these dark rooms come voices. And that's the enemy, the devil, and his host. And these voices shout at us, yell at us, whisper at us, and say, come here. This is so much more exciting than the God stuff. Come here, and you find the joy you're looking for. Come into this room. So, what is our job? How do we overcome this? We overcome this to fixate our eyes on Jesus, to keep walking the straight path and ignore these voices. The good news, friends, is as Christians, the devil has zero power over us. Zero. He cannot get any time between us and Jesus if we just keep walking straight. The power he has is to grab our attention, to grab our ear, our mind, so that we listen to these voices and be tempted to go into these dark rooms. So there's immense power. The devil tries to influence us, but he has no power unless we give him attention. So how do we overcome the devil? By living God-centered, but devil-aware. My personal prayer to practice this is very regularly, Father, show me the schemes of Mr. Dark in this situation. Show me what the devil might be up to in this context. That way I focus on God, but I'm aware that Mr. Dark might be at work here as well. The second member of the Unholy Trinity is the world. The world is the system opposed to God and his way. It's not the physical world, it's not the cosmos. Again, just to represent this, it is the invisible world, the spiritual world that is opposed to God and his ways. Romans 12:2 shows us and gives us the key how we can overcome the world. It's this: do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then, once this happens, you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Do not be conformed to this world. This means there is a tendency in us that we are conformed to this world. Why? Some people say we're social animals, we're herd animals. I don't like that terminology, but I would say we're social creatures. Many even adults and of us, we have the tendency to not do what we want to do, to not believe what we believe is right, but to do and believe what the majority of our social group believes, and to behave in ways that our social group behaves. That's just how we are hardwired. So I'll give you a funny example. Imagine 2 years ago, a man walked into a room and he had a mustache. Everyone would find that funny, because no man was wearing a mustache 2 years ago. Look at the media, the celebrities and everyone, more and more men are doing what? Why? Not because they suddenly think, oh, this suits me so much better. Why? Because others are doing it. Influencers are doing it, and we're following their example. Other example, maybe your workplace. Depending on what the culture of your work situation is, it may be normal to badmouth, to, gossip. If that's the culture, aren't we much more tempted to behave the same way? If we know this is not acceptable here, it's much easier for us to abstain from it. So we need to understand, how are we exposed to this world? What's the influence the world is having here? And this is the door here. Remember, that is wide open for influence coming this way and coming this way. Well, it's mainstream culture, isn't it? It's media. It's our fellow human beings, the culture of our company, for example. It's relationships. And it's the whisper of lies in our hearts. The world constantly wants to conform us. And within us is a tendency to be conformed. That means we need to work against it. That is why Paul says, do not be conformed to the world. How do we overcome the world? Paul says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. How does transformation happen? We renew our mind, we renew our thinking, our thought patterns, our mindset, because we have full control over what's going on here on our mind. How do we overcome the world? By renewing our mind every single day. I take the liberty to quote a German fellow countryman here this morning, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. He's known as the Shakespeare of Germanic Europe. And he said a few centuries ago, what a man looks at is what takes power over him. What a man looks at is what takes power over him. What we look at shapes us. What we allow our consciousness to dwell on is what influences us. So, here, this is us, representing us. We have doors that we can keep open or that we can shut. And these doors have handles, and the handles are inside. No one can decide what happens on here other than me, other than you. We can decide what we open the doors to, in other words, what we give our attention, and that will influence us. We can either let the world conform us, if we keep this door open toward the world and its system, or we can let God transform us. How? The constant renewal of our mind. And that means that we shut the door here on the world, we don't allow it to influence us, and we keep the door to God wide open. We allow God and His Word to influence us. This leads us to the third reality in our life, and the third member of the Trinity, and that is the flesh. The flesh dwells within us. I draw it here as a shadow, and even secular psychology acknowledges that there is an evil reality in personality. Psychology calls this the dark side or the shadow. The Bible calls it the flesh. And the flesh is, clicking on here, is our inclination to act independent and against God. I read from Galatians 5 how we relate to our flesh and how we can overcome it. For the flesh desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the flesh. They're in conflict with each other, so that you not do whatever you want. The acts of the flesh are obvious, and then it lists some expressions of the flesh. So there is a conflict of this reality in us and the Spirit. They are directly opposed to each other. How do we overcome it? We walk in the Spirit and do not follow the promptings of the flesh. So I want to emphasize, the flesh is not our identity. Our identity is, as Christians, our new self, who we are in Jesus. But before we follow Jesus, we develop thought patterns, we develop behavior patterns, we developed attitudes, and with our regenerations, they're not just wiped off. They're still there, and we have to overcome them. So, how do we overcome the flesh? The devil and the world wants to stir our flesh, wants to awaken our flesh, wants to stir its desires, and then it can be powerful in our lives. I'm sure all of us at some point have experienced that conflict that Paul describes here. We overcome it by shutting the door on the world and by renewing our mind. I will summarize here and make this at the end very practical. How can we overcome the unholy Trinity? We overcome the devil by living a God-centered life, but being devil-aware. We say, Father, how might the devil have his hand in this? We overcome the world by not allowing it to conform us, but by transforming our mind. We overcome the flesh by not feeding it, but shutting the door on the influence of the world and the devil. Let us have a real honest conversation about this here for just a moment. And I invite you to reflect on this in your life. How much do you allow media to influence you? Make no mistake, it may sound like an innocent Hollywood movie, but every scriptwriter and director has an agenda. It's a story, but the story transports a message that wants to influence you. So how many minutes of your precious time do you spend on your phone and with other media? I did an assessment when I found out that my phone actually tracks this, and I was shocked. It was 3 times as much on a daily basis than I thought, maybe 30, 40 minutes a day. It was much more than that. And how much time do you spend letting God and His Word, the Bible, transform you? How wide is that door open in your life? Jesus says, if you remain in my teaching, then you are truly my disciple. Remaining in my teaching means making our home in His teaching, living in it, dwelling in it. Then you are my true disciple. In other words, that's a mark of true discipleship. And what will happen, you will experience the truth, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I want to tell us a story that illustrates this. The story is supposedly from the Native American tribe of the Cherokee, but that's not entirely sure. It is from a Native American tribe. And the story goes that an old man from that tribe of the Cherokee, is teaching his grandson about life. And he says and explains to his grandson, you know, a fight is going on inside me. It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One wolf in me is evil. It's anger, envy, jealousy, sorrow, greed, guilt, resentment, ego. And then I have this other wolf in me, and the other wolf is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, compassion, and truth. And the two wolves in me fight all the time. The same fight is going on inside you, says the granddad to his grandson. And it's actually going inside in every other person too. The grandson thinks about this for a minute and then asks his grandfather, "Granddad, which wolf will win?" The old Cherokee man replied simply, "The one you feed." Which one do you feed and want to feed in your life? Is it the world with the devil behind us, influencing you, stirring the flesh? Or do you feed God's influence through His Word, through His Spirit, coming into your life and transforming your heart through the renewal of your mind? It will determine that you will either starve the wolf to death over time, or you will feed the wolf named the new self, the new creation, and it will keep growing and growing in your life. We have a choice to make. God will not make that choice for us. No one else will make that choice to us. It's a choice that we're asked to make every day. So I'm inviting you at the end of my talk to make a determination in your heart. What is one step that you can take today to feed the good wolf? What is one habit that you could start developing this week? I invite you, if it helps you focus, to close your eyes. You're of course free to keep your eyes open, but just if it helps you to concentrate. And come with that question to our Father and say, "Father, what are you inviting me to? What are you challenging me to this week?"